3.
Perfect. See, it's
Got a lot of precision going on
you
here.
know, it's really, it makes me feel like that seals the deal right there, because she says at the beginning of every episode. So now it's like we're back, right? We're good. Yeah, you're good.
I'm always good.
Yeah. All right, that's cool. George,
I'm ready.
you ready? Yeah. All right. Cool. We're ready. So I'm a little like, all right. So we feel like we're back on the podcast, and with my good buddy George Poveromo. George, I have to say before we start, okay, you are listening, by the way, to the Connected by Water podcast, powered by Joey Cardi, Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, and fueled by our good friends at Papa's Pilar Rum, who remind you never to be a spectator. And I want to say to you, thank you, because you've been on the show many times, and every single time I just appreciate it more and more and more. And I just want you to understand the value, that I understand the value that you bring, and I appreciate the camaraderie and the friendship, like, greatly. It really does mean a lot to me. So thank you again for coming on the show.
Oh, you're more than welcome. And like I said before, the honor is mine. And when my schedule meshes up to do this, I enjoy coming out here, seeing you, seeing the work that you're producing, and it's a fun time. So
Yeah.
it's like a break in the action to come out here, chat with a couple old friends, and just enjoy yourself.
That's it. We have a couple of glasses of rum and just, you know. And
Oh, there is a little
just
incentive, to
get
come on out and do this, you know.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's the pay to play, and it's for me it's therapy. So, you know, it's good. Before we get into it, I want to welcome back the one and the only Karlene Rybinski. Hello.
How are you, gentlemen?
So, for those of you who watch the show on a regular basis and understand how much she means to us, you just had a child, like 2 days ago.
No, last week.
Last
Wow.
week,
Last week.
right? Very soon, Marina Rose. She's absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
And I just have to say, selfishly, I'm so happy to have you back, because it hasn't been the same without you.
Well,
So-
I'm glad to be here.
So we always say
So
that
what kind of a span did she miss?
about a month and a half. You said
About,
right?
okay,
yeah,
that's-
about a month and a
all right.
half. So she missed about what, 6 episodes,
And-
something like that.
And she came back because I was here, right?
She came back because you were
Well,
here.
in the free rum, I can finally
Yes.
drink now. So
It's like,
I've
I'm
been doing
drinking.
it without for the last 9 months sober.
Right. So for 9 months, she did the show where we all drink on the show, and she hasn't been able to have a drop. You know, but now she can have
The
as
cherry
many drops
cask
as
is
she
not
wants.
so bad.
Right. The sherry cask is good stuff.
Well, welcome
so,
back. And congratulations.
Thank you, George. It's good
Yeah.
to have you.
So here we are. All right. You've been busy.
Yes, as have you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we very much have.
It's
been.
like the time of the season, isn't it? But the season just keeps expanding, expanding, and expanding, as you
it
well
does.
know.
It does, just like my waistline. but yeah, no, I mean, it's we have been busy, and some of it's been good, and some of it's been a little overwhelming, to the point where it's causing us to reevaluate some things here at the studio. I mean, you want to call it growing pains, or you want to call it elevating our offering, or how we run our business. You know, we're still trying to really analyze, you know, how we're going to move some things forward. But I think it's all positive at the end of the day. And, you know, we're kind of picking and choosing what we're going to be working on here coming up. So,
Which is a good thing.
yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Mhm.
It doesn't, you know,
Keeps you in your creativity and doing what you're doing that got you to this point.
yeah,
We talked early before they turned the cameras on here too, and that's what got you here to creativity. And if you start waning a little bit on that
mm-hmm.
and start to get a little bit stale, that's like the beginning and the end. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got to avoid that at all costs and just keep that fresh outlook. And if it means putting a couple other things aside to stay fresh and churn out the work that you're doing, then that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
From an outsider looking in.
No, and it's true, because you know, if I always have to try to keep the perspective on things of, you know, why did I open up this place
Mhm.
in the first place? You know, was it
To make
You
you
know.
drive farther out than you were in Coral Springs. It was
Right.
too convenient before to me to go a mile and be in your studio.
It was much too easy when we were all in Coral Springs. But I'm following my passion, right? That's why. That's the main reason why we do these things, and we do all this. And if it doesn't become a passionate endeavor after a while, and it starts becoming a little bit too jobby,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then you really got to start reevaluating, what you're doing.
And people could tell.
Yeah. I think who can? No.
The people that follow you, they could tell. If Dennis get a little bit sleepy over here,
Yeah.
maybe it's just a little time off here, whatever. But he'll come back. We hope he comes back. And,
Yeah.
And people who really follow you and your art, and people do follow the artists like they would any other personality, because they become attached to not only your work,
Mm-hmm.
but then the artist behind it. They want to know more about you, and you have your following, and they watch you so intently in what you put out that they could tell if you have a little bit of a slow or a slack period. I mean, you might not notice it, but they do.
Yeah. The funny thing is we're churning out plenty of work. We're doing plenty of things, but it's not. How do I put this the right way? It's not like the work I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to try to say that in the nicest way possible. It's more business model related, and it's more like we're doing a lot of apparel jobs, and it's becoming very factory like. And that's when I have to start pumping the brakes.
So what is it then, since we're doing your podcast, so this will be like a Dennis Friel exclusive, what is it that you want to do the most of?
I want to paint.
Okay, just lock yourself in a room and
Yeah.
paint and turn it out that way.
Yeah.
I just felt like painting.
Yeah. It's true. That's true.
That's what got you here.
That's it. I want to paint. Like, I haven't been painting enough. And I've been doing a lot of digital designing, a lot of apparel designing, and I love that stuff. Don't get me wrong, I really do. But when it starts becoming all that, like, because we like to say, we fill a lot of different buckets here.
Mm-hmm.
When that bucket starts overflowing, and
Well,
just like
and
it's a little much.
And here's one of the challenges for you, being the artist, and there's only one of you, and being like what I do with my writing or the TV producing or the TV or the seminars, I should say too, is that it's not like if you own, say, a big electrical company or a plumbing company, you could have people under you that could do the same type of work, and you could send, depending on the job, 5, 10, 11 people out to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But see, you're a one person. Only you could do what you're doing here. What I do, there's only one person that could sit and write and do what I do. It's not like we could, okay, here's George Jr. or Dennis Jr. Now you run out and you write this or you paint this. We don't have that. We're a one-man band, and essentially.
Yeah.
And it's good in one aspect, but it's it's limiting in others, because it's all about what you do, and it's nothing that we could farm off to other people.
Yeah, I mean, to some respect, I mean, we do have designers here, and some people helping us on the production end, but they're not the content creators. Like, I'm the sole content creator, and we can take the content, we can utilize it in different ways, and I can have some designers help me push that out in different ways. So there are some ways to scale it up like that, but you're right. In the whole shot, you can't clone me, and and I have a business partner, Harrison. He's always said that too. It's like, oh yeah, too bad we can't clone you. He always makes that joke. I guess there's a Michael Keaton movie about that. It's, I don't know, where he was like multiple versions of him. He's like, oh, I wish I could turn into that. But listen, so that's why we have to really look at the business, and I hate even saying business. We have to look at the studio and say, what are we producing, and where do we want to take this, and what have we done so far? Look at everything that's been successful, everything that hasn't been successful. Or where is our happiness going to lie in this entire endeavor? So that's kind of the mode we're at right now. We're like stepping back and we're looking at everything and saying, all right, what do we want this to be? Rather than look at numbers on a spreadsheet and say, oh, we got to push that vertical and push this vertical. And so this is what we've done in the past, but still.
And I could see it's weighing heavily on you too.
It is. It really is.
I think you need to have another sip of Papa's Pilar and calm down a little bit.
I know. What do you think about that, Karlene?
It's good.
Yeah? All right. Karlene's just like, whatever.
It's tasty.
I'm just back
I'm
here
going to pull a
drinking
Carl
rum
tonight, right?
Yeah.
This one's for you, brother.
So her brother came on to be the bartender one night. Like, she couldn't make it one night. And coincidentally weird that her brother shows up in the gallery that day, like by happenstance. And I go, oh, well, we're having a podcast tonight, but your sister actually isn't coming tonight. He's like, oh, I can step in and bartend for her. I'm like, you know what? It's kind of funny replacing her with a brother, but he took the job very seriously.
Oh, yeah?
He already started off at 15th Street Fishery. Went out with
Yanni's
his
rolling
buddies,
his eyes.
and then he rolled up here about 4:30, 4 o'clock.
He had fished all
and-
day.
Yeah, so he was already kind of woo.
Mhm.
And then kindly you can explain the rest. So put it diplomatically.
Uh-oh.
So
The
that's
guests
right.
that were here.
I have your permission. So, Congress Representative Chip LaMarca, right, and Cardinal Gibbons head football coach Matt Dubuck, both authority figures, right, were here, and he was in rare form, and he kept like, he walks up to Chip at one point, and he's like, "Oh yeah, unbutton your top button, loosen up a little bit, Chip," and it's like
His
Congressman.
phone's going off in the
Like,
background.
get back behind the bar. Don't say that. At the end, I was like, hey, you guys okay? I know the bartender was a little fun tonight. Like,
Yeah.
oh, no, the bartender was great. We liked him. I go, thank God.
Yeah, I'm at
Yeah.
home sitting there eating dinner with my family because we never went to North Carolina that trip.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, he started to go in the background, and then Yanni and Nick just shut him right off. And I just, because
Yeah.
you're going through the sponsors and you can hear him in the background. And my daughter's like, I don't think Uncle Carl is supposed to be talking right now. But we
Yeah.
love you, Carl. $2,
Yeah,
forever.
it was fun. Now, looking
perfect.
back on it, it was fun. During the episode, it was a little stressful. I was like, a couple times I'm in like mid-conversation. I'm like, what are you saying, Carl? He's like trying to chime in, but it's all good. You've been busy, right?
Yes.
See, I was
And
gonna,
about
what
to
I was
get
going to
busier,
say.
Sure.
I was going to segue into this. I said another thing too about me is another thing I haven't been doing a lot of is fishing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because I'm 60 hours a week here, and
Sure.
then every other waking moment I have to be with my family. Outside, I'd never live it down. I want to be with them anyway. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, we're going to try to find some more time for me to go fishing as well. And
Absolutely.
that's what started the whole thing in the
Sure.
first place, right? So,
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
Started
So,
both of us off.
That's
that
it.
passion.
so speaking of fishing, you've been fishing.
Yeah, and getting set to kick off our filming season. We leave next week to Green Turtle Club in the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be there for a week for offshore trolling. And then we get back, and I think I'm in town for like 4 days, and then we hit the Florida Keys. And then it just goes on from there. We have trips scheduled up in Jersey for the tunas. We'll be in Rhode Island for the trophy striped bass for the nighttime deal.
Oh, really?
I think around July, I think we go there. And, just a normal 13 episodes that'll be scattered out. I think we get back into Bimini end of June. So
Mm-hmm.
this was like the calm before the storm. Just get all the tackle ready. We took the boat out for a fun day of fishing out of Miami last. I guess it was Thursday. Did pretty good. Got 3 sailfish, 3 mahi. Everything ran good. And so now it's just getting it set for the run to Green Turtle. And we just hope the weather's really nice on Wednesday when we make the crossing.
Yeah, nice. And you had your seminar series.
Yeah, the
Right.
TV episodes, and they're airing weekly. We
Mhm.
filmed those, I think it was January, the
Right.
IGFA 13 seminar series episodes,
Mhm.
and they've been airing weekly. I think we're coming into the halfway point with those. And that turned out to be like a really surprising success to television version.
Okay.
So much so that it looks like that pretty much could have killed the ground tour. And
Really?
the first year we did it was for the COVID, so we had to postpone the ground tour, so we did TV edition.
Right.
And that was 2021. And Saltwater Sportsman got the ratings back from the 3 networks that aired it, and 3.1 million viewers watched it. And it shocked Saltwater
Pretty
Sportsman.
good.
It shocked me. I was hoping we could push the million
Yeah.
mark. And then the sponsors became ecstatic about that and saying, do the TV now. And whereas the ground tour, we would, over 8 stops, would average 3,500, maybe 4,000 people. And it was, hands-on, and they could see the sponsors propped in the lobby. And it was, quite the show. And it was more of a grassroots deal, which was very, very popular. And now the sponsors are looking, well, now you're hitting over 3 million people. And they said what's good about that is that you're hitting people that always knew about the seminar series, but lived several states away, you never came close enough for them to actually make it, but they knew about it. So now everybody who's in tune with the seminar series has an opportunity to watch it. And that's been the big thing now is this is our second year of the seminar series on TV, and Saltwater is, we're doing a contract for 2 more years, at least on TV. And there's been some talk, and it's just premature at this point. I hope we could do it. So a little rumbling and all that, but it looks like at one point in time, I don't know if it'll be this coming year, if not this coming year. When I say this coming year, 23, it'll be the following year of doing a limited ground tour in addition to televised seminar series, where instead of doing 8 stops, we'll pick 3 to 4 stops and bring a special edition ground tour.
Yeah, I like
stops.
that.
And I like it too, because I miss the personal interaction with the people. And then, of course, Bass Pro Shops always throws a seminar after party afterwards, which is a pretty cool deal. So, that's the part of it that I miss, and I hope that we could get to where at least we could hit 3 or 4 stops. I think it's great. And this is year 35 for the seminars, believe it or not, the 35th anniversary.
Wow.
35 you believe that?
Years.
Yeah.
Wow. I think that's cool if you do combine the on-location ones, even if you do like just a handful of them.
I do too.
Because people still want that tactile thing sometimes, and get out to meet you and meet all the other great captains that you have on the show. And probably easier for you to do it less too, less traveling all over. You do 13 stops when you do that?
Oh no, when we do the seminars, they were always 8 stops.
8 stops.
But the reason we do 13 TV episodes because of the quarters. In each quarter is 13 weeks. So we then they re-air them after we run them. So it's 13 episodes to make the TV framework.
Okay.
But the actual tour was 8 cities.
Gotcha.
And we grinded them out rather than taking a week off here and there. We said, once we get underway, let's just keep this thing going and hurry up and get it over with.
Right.
And so by the time that thing was over with, you're about ready to crash. But, but it's better than keeping it dragging on, too.
Just do like a T-shirt, like the George Poveromo East Coast tour.
We've been everywhere that seminar tour. We've been to California. We've been to Maine. We've been every stop on the Gulf Coast. And that in the 35 years, we've seriously been everywhere. And one, which will go down in seminar series history, believe it or not, we brought the tour to Chicago.
Chicago.
It was the biggest bomb we ever did in our lives.
Really? Well, is it all Lake Michigan fishing?
Well, what happened when we did the seminar series, Mark Sosin, when we first started, was my partner.
Okay.
And he did 10 years before he retired. And I took the business over. We were a hit out of the box. We were packing places and selling them out. So I think it was like the 4th year. He says, George, a lot of people say we need to bring this tour to Chicago. And I go, Chicago? There's no saltwater there.
Right.
It doesn't make a difference. The people, they travel. It's a big saltwater market. So we got so cocky that figuring we could go anywhere and fill a place up. So we put Chicago on the list. And this was, and Bouncer will talk to you about this when you get on the phone. This was in December because we had to make room for it. The normal tour goes January to March. So we picked a Saturday in December. And great. And I said, now where do we go in Chicago? Now, a little lesser known fact that my aunt is the actress Ann Jillian. Remember her?
Right.
From way back?
That's your aunt?
Yes, my aunt.
Really?
And so and she's from Chicago, and she
Italian?
tours everywhere. No, Irish. That's where Paul could have beat me. A little bit Irish here, but so I said, where can we go? She goes, I got the most incredible theater, the Drury Lane Theater. It's posh, it's exclusive. I said, remember, we're on a budget. I know the owner. They cut us a heck of a deal. Still cost a good chunk, but it was a hell of a deal. We book it. All right. Now there's no locals. We got to bring everybody up there. So we get Bouncer Smith, Bob McNally. We picked 8 faculty members that we had to fly and put up, including us,
right?
The crew. We get up in there, and all of a sudden we're looking at ticket sales. Now remember, the seminar when we go, a poor crowd for us will be 450 people. We were 700 people to 900, and sometimes we had 1,000 per each seminar. Now we're looking here. We're 44 pre-sold tickets 2 weeks away from Chicago. What the hell are we doing? And Mark says, well, we'll get the guy in the big Chicago paper to write us up, which he did. And I said, do we pull the plug? And he says, no, we just got to go through with it. And I said, all right. So here we go. We had 44 people pre-sold. On the Saturday, we had 44 show up again. There was 88 people total.
Wow.
in about a 3,000 seat theater. I go out.
Wow. Any paper
start
airplanes thrown up your way? Or?
There's nobody there to throw them. And I look out there, and all you could see was the metallic red upholstery on the seats. Every now and then there'd be a puff of hair here, a puff of hair there.
Oh, no.
So, but before we had come out, Bob McNally says, "What are we going to talk about?" I just looked at him and said, "Bob, we could talk about whatever we want. We outnumber them."
Yeah.
And it was such a disaster. And
Talk about crappie fishing.
well, we did saltwater, but see what happened? We fooled ourselves. We thought, see what we did with the seminar series, we track people who have their own boats that want to learn more. The people that travel there go with a guide. They get on the boat, they fish, they walk away. There's no need for them to learn the tricks or techniques. We misjudged that one.
Okay.
And then we could not get out that night either, which pains us. So we're in the hotel restaurant. It started to snow, and they had
The snow?
Yeah, it was snowing too.
You went to Chicago in the winter?
Yeah, it was December. And here we are with Bouncer and Mark Sosin and whoever else at our table, and they have this guy coming around with a violin serenading the tables. And I'm thinking, I'm such a bad mood. Please don't come by the table. So sure enough, he comes by the table. And Bouncer goes, "Do you know Silent Night?" and he goes, "Yeah." And if he doesn't start to play Silent Night on his violin, and if Bouncer doesn't start singing in the restaurant, all I hear is "Silent Night, holy," and he's singing. And Dennis, this is the truth. I'm reaching down. I am pinching my leg and said, "This is a bad dream. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be able to tell people, you're not going to believe what I dreamt of." All I ended up was black and blue in my legs. It was reality. So that was the biggest bomb we ever did with the seminar. Fortunately, the first Saturday in January is part of the regular tour. We put 780 into Charleston and made up for the hammering that we got Chicago. But Bouncer, I'm sure, Bouncer loves it.
Now I want to hear him sing Silent Night. Call
All right,
him up,
we gotta
right?
call him up. We gotta
Like-
call him up. All right.
I don't want to ever hear him sing that again. It brings back such painful memories.
All right.
Not to me personally, but the Wallach took a painful hit on that one.
Let's oh my God.
But we did have a good tax write
So we're gonna call Bouncer Smith, who we just did an episode with, and we're gonna give him a call and ask
Just
him.
start singing Silent Night when he
If
answers.
he's listening, he'll be singing it when you answer. When he picks up that phone, he'll be his greatest. Bouncer sings Christmas carols. I could see
we got a whole
the
new
album now.
segment now.
Cap Bouncer.
Hello, Captain Bouncer. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Listen, George and I were just talking here on the podcast, and he's telling me that
You like to sing.
you're going to be you like to sing, and you're going to be coming out with an album of Christmas carols inspired by your Chicago trip.
Oh yeah. Hey, listen. I've already got a guitar violinist lined up to help me.
Yeah.
You're probably from Chicago
Yeah.
too.
Silent Night. That was my most famous Chicago song.
Holy night. Come on.
Bouncer, I still shake when I hear that song.
That's why I did that. I wanted Dennis to see you shiver.
I go into a mall and I hear him play that song. I have to put cotton in my ears till it's over with.
Dennis, in my defense, I didn't have to drive,
All right.
and therefore I was drinking.
Okay. No problem. Listen, I want to get your take a little bit, if you can, on what the scene was like in the movie theater or in the hall where you guys did the seminar.
You want?
I'm imagining someone throwing paper airplanes up your way and maybe flicking some popcorn.
They throw stuff at George whenever he holds a seminar. Especially if he doesn't get the pop his Pilar to the right guy.
So I'm wondering, he tells us towards the end of the story that you guys went to Chicago in the winter to do a saltwater fishing seminar.
Somehow that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
It did at the time.
Dennis, I want you to know that George and Mark flew more people to Chicago for that show than there were people in the theater.
That's true.
Yep, he did say
About
that.
2 to 1.
He said you guys outnumbered them.
2-1.
I don't
He
even.
would step out onto the stage, and it was all red velvet chairs.
Yeah, he remembers.
And once in a while, you would spot a little tuft of hair sticking above the felt. It was pretty sad.
You know, I think it's just as wonderful that you all actually even agreed to go on the trip in the first place. But
In the middle of winter, no less.
in the middle of winter. I've been to Chicago quite a few times, and one time I went there in the winter, and I swore to myself I'd never ever do that again.
Well, I went to Chicago twice in the winter. Well, once in December and one in March. I would call those both winter in Chicago.
Yeah.
And both times they were to do fishing talks, and both times they were less than perfect events.
Oh, you went to do another fishing talk in Chicago?
He didn't learn the first time.
I went to
Thank you.
I went to represent Penn Fishing Reels at a fishing show in March one year, yes.
Okay.
It was just as pathetic. although they did have a lot of people there.
Yeah, they
They
did.
just didn't let us talk much, that's all.
Yeah.
Well, look at the bright side of this whole thing. This was way back, Bouncer. We're year number 35 of the seminars, and this had to been, I don't know, the 5th or 6th year. I can't really recall, but look at the great story that we have from that disaster that we could still talk about and at least, fortunately, laugh about it today.
Hey, listen, George, you and I both know we could do a whole hour on the events involved with the seminars and me. I mean, there was the bed frame,
The fire,
on the turnpike, and there was the guy, the famous person falling asleep next to me on the stage, and there was the fire marshal shutting us down in Coral Gables.
Yes, you're part. That's right. You were part of all the real spectacular ones.
That must be why you didn't invite me this year.
So wait, who fell asleep? Can you say?
Hey, it was a young man. His initials were Jeff Lederman.
Now, was that the one up in Maryland where he almost passed out? Were you on that one? Is that the one you're talking about?
It was Atlantic City.
It was Maryland, because he was up there and all of a sudden he was having his fainting spell. John Otten was there.
That was the one. Yeah.
Yes.
I thought it was.
And everyone said,
I thought Atlantic City, but it could have been anywhere.
It was Annapolis, Maryland, and all of a sudden I'm watching him and he's sweating, and it's so cold in there, it's snowing outside, and he's sweating like a rainmaker sprinkler.
And his eyelids were going a million miles an hour.
And John Otten had to sort of hold him up from the back, and then John Otten took him to the bar when that session was over with, and got him straightened out and said, "Jeffrey, what happened to you?" Because he was so good before. He said he got so nervous looking at the crowd, he was about ready to pass out on stage and almost went down.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Oh wow, this is awesome. So, and then what's the bed frame thing?
Oh, this was in Orlando. And Bouncer was coming up that night, and I'll start at Bouncer and you could finish it. And all of a sudden, there's no call from Bouncer. I get a call 4 or 5 in the morning. Say, no, I'm there. I'm going to be there. You're not going to believe what happened. I'm driving, and a car in front of me or something lost a bed mattress. Bouncer hits it and doesn't know he's dragging it. And supposedly, correct me if I'm wrong, Bouncer, the frame broke and punctured your gas tank. So now you're leaking gas, ready to catch fire. Why don't you take it from there?
Come on.
I'm going down the turnpike, and there's flames chasing my van with my wife and my son in the car.
You had a NASCAR fire.
And the semi next to me is blowing his horn at me. And I told my wife and son, when I pull off to the side, everybody bails. Don't bother to grab anything. Unfortunately, I pulled off onto the grass. That stopped the sparks. That dropped out the fire, and we were safe and sound. So then I had a tow truck tow me from Stewart back to Hollywood, where my brother-in-law had an auto repair shop. And I left my van there, and I took my wife and son and drove back to Orlando. We got to Orlando, I think it was about 6. And I had to be at the green room, or the green room at 7. So I didn't get much sleep that night.
You talk about devotion.
I fell asleep
Yeah.
on the stage in that seminar.
He catches fire with the car, gets trailer or towed all the way back, gets another vehicle, and drives to Orlando to make the seminar. Now that's devotion.
That's hardcore.
Well, I owed it to you for singing for you, George.
Oh, this is great. Hey, Bouncer, did you see our episode aired today? Did you get a chance to see it?
No, you were going to send me the link, but I didn't see it.
All right, I'll have to send you the link then after this episode. Then.
Yeah, I definitely got to spread the word on that. We had a lot of fun, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a good time. It was. We got to have you in again pretty soon, as soon as possible.
And I thought that, Dennis, I thought you were having Paul on with George. Not Paul.
Yeah, no, we were gonna have Paul on today, but I guess it's Mother's Day this weekend, so he had to take off.
He
Yeah.
heard I was
got
coming
it.
back.
Yeah,
so.
Mother's Day is that way.
But just so you know, this was that contest that Dennis had us in, and just because I showed up and Paul didn't, I think I should be the winner by default, Bouncer.
We
Yeah.
should still be eating lasagna right now.
We
Whether
could be.
Paul's here or not.
Yeah, it was gonna
If
be
you
the
don't
Who's
show
More
up, you're
Italian.
an automatic loser. I mean, you know.
Well, you know, Bouncer, this was gonna be our Who's More Italian episode. We were gonna have the whole thing about the Who's More Italian, right? So was it gonna be Paul or was it gonna be George?
How does Paul get in a competition like that?
Well, I mean, Paul Castronovo, he's
It
Italian,
all started
right?
when we were at dinner,
Well, I don't
Bouncer. You started this episode.
I guess it was probably 15 years ago. He and young Ron Brewer did DNA test or whatever it is, where you send in the swab and they check your lineage. And I don't want to tell any school stories out of school, but Paul announced it on live radio that his DNA came back that he was Greek.
Well, he did say he was from Sicily, so maybe got
Yeah.
it's
Crete,
sort of close
Sicily,
enough. You didn't know your
yeah.
geography that well.
Wow. So at the end of the day,
Well, here you go. So now,
it's a nothing burger. You show up to the Who's More Italian episode and you win
well,
by default anyway. But then this seals the deal.
there's a
I
very,
had
very
my
interesting
video out
surroundings
for cold,
here
too.
and
Yeah.
findings.
Yeah.
This is great.
Wow. So you learn something new every day.
But it's interesting because I always thought of Paul as being the most Italian guy I knew until I found out he was a Greek. I don't know. I mean, they have a lot of great statues in Greece, just like they do in Rome. So they must be related. But
Wow. Well, we're gonna have to make sure we pass that information on to Paul just for confirmation.
We'll bring a gyro for him next time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. We'll give him a Greek salad.
there you go.
Grape leaves.
That'll shake him up.
Yeah. So, hey, Bouncer, we're gonna let you go. I appreciate you taking the call.
Hey, I appreciate you calling me, and I'll look forward to watching our podcast. And y'all let me know about this one too, so I can watch this because I'd like to see George defend his title as the most Italian fisherman in South Florida.
And the thing is, the sad thing is I won it. I'm only like half Italian. The other half is Irish, a bit of English, British thrown in there. That's about it. So he could easily beat me on genetics.
Right.
But I don't know the Greek thing now. Maybe I won that too.
You might have it in the bag. I might even have a leg up
You-
on him.
hey,
I'm half
you
Italian.
might
too.
beat us all.
My mother's
I'm
Italian.
Italian by injection, so that's a whole other different story.
Well, that sort of counts too. That's what I tell my wife too.
Man.
All right, Bouncer. Thank you very much, sir.
Well, you guys wish your wives a happy Mother's Day for me.
We will.
We will,
Look forward to
Bouncer.
talking again soon.
Hey, can't thank you enough for all those incredible memories. I know we got more to make, Bouncer, but man, so many of my stories that I tell coming up and everything involves you. It's always funny. You always get the people laughing. That's for sure.
That's for sure, no doubt about it. You're the best, George.
We'll keep trying.
And you too, Dennis.
All
You're
right.
both the best in your own fields.
Thanks, Bouncer.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
What a living legend, huh?
He's so great, isn't he? Such a great guy.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. So that's some funny stuff. I'm glad
Oh,
we
it-
called him on.
you know, like
he
I
brought
always
he
said-
brought up some good memories there for the seminar.
One day when I decide to hang the White Columbia visor up is, I'm going to write a couple books, and one of them's going to be called the Seminar Series, but it's not going to have anything to do with what we taught on stage. It's going to do with all the bizarre stuff that happened around and all
Yeah.
that history. And there's so many crazy things that It's pretty amazing. Make some good reading.
Oh, we got another call in here.
I'm afraid to ask.
We have another call in.
Carl.
Connected by Water podcast. Can I help you? Are you there? Hold on 1 second. I didn't hit speaker. Connected by Water podcast. Can I help you?
Yeah, I was kind of wanting to ask a quick question of your guest, George Poveromo.
Absolutely.
That's what his name is. So, George, you brought people to Chicago in the middle of the winter for a saltwater seminar. Is this the first mistake that you've made during that series, or was this a harbinger of things to come?
No, that was actually, I'm going to call that our Barry White mistake, our first, our last, and our everything, because that was the only thing that we did wrong with the seminar, because we got very cocky because we were filling these halls up and we thought we could go anywhere and do that. And we thought that Chicago is such a strong market with anglers who travel that we would really do well and hit a home run. And we decided to try it. And of course, that led to the great story that we just told. But other than that, we really got a rude awakening and figured out what our market was. And we stuck to that market ever since. And just took us that one time to get a good hard hit in the head.
You think July might have been a better month to do it in?
I don't think any month in Chicago at all.
I'll be haunted forever by hearing Bouncer sing Silent Night.
Oh, well, how do you think I feel?
Silent Night.
So
I've been trying to deal with that for 20-some
I'm
years.
sitting here listening to it and then chuckling and finish out my week. But the main reason I'm calling, not to say, Denny, I don't love you, and George, back at you as well, but Karlene, I just wanted to wish you a happy Mother's Day and congratulations, little Marina. And it's nice to have the beauty back behind the bar.
Thank you.
It's like, it feels like we're back home again, Mike. It all's right with
really
the world
does.
again.
You complete me.
Right.
It really does. And as
Thank you,
far as
Mike.
who's more Italian between George and Casanovo, I'm like 100% Irish, and I think I'm more Italian than either one of them.
He could be right. I'm with
I just
Mike.
want to throw that out there right now.
Mike could be the ringer in this thing. He certainly could.
Yeah.
I'm from the outside. I'm coming in hot. You never know. But Dennis to Liz and obviously Georgie, happy Mother's Day to your wives, and it's a nice time of year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is,
You got to
Mike.
give our best to Mo too.
Yeah, and all the best over to you too, Mike, as always.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a mother of sorts. I've been called better. I've been called worse. But, these, like I said, the first and foremost, the call was to Karlene, and congratulations to you and Mike on the second little baby girl that you guys have in your family. And I couldn't be any happier for you. You have a great Mother's Day.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the call, Mike.
Solid stuff, Mike.
And the sherry is good.
Oh, yes, it is.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
So we had, Johnny just dropped off a new batch for us, so we're very happy about that.
Nice. And George, you've got some waiting on your pickup next week before you go over to Treasure and All Points Beyond.
Yep.
I really think one day what we ought to do is you and Dennis and I and Bouncer ought to get on a boat.
Let's do it. I am 100% game. I think that would be so amazing. We got Johnny out, as you well know, and got him his first sailfish, and his buddy is a sailfish. But we got Johnny his first sailfish and made his day, and it was a gorgeous day. So we had to do that. That'd be a lot of fun.
It was another one of those Hemingway days. I mean, he still talks about it.
Well, I nicknamed him now. I call him Sailfish Johnny. Any text or whatever I send him, it's Sailfish Johnny to me now.
You know what? You keep doing that, George, and he'll be treating you right forever. I swear to God. I mean, I love me some Johnny Lazenby. He's done a great job for us, as the whole team at Pilar is an awesome team. But anyway, just wanted to shout out to you guys, and particularly Karlene tonight. So enjoy the rest of the show, and I'll be hollering at you next week. I'll be over at Skip Smith's Custom Shootout. I'll be over there on Monday, and looking forward to a little time in the Bahamas and, chilling.
Where are you going to be in the Bahamas, Mike?
Plenty of Papa's Pilar over there.
Where are you going to be in the Bahamas, Mike?
Pardon me?
Well, where are you going to be? Treasure?
Abaco Beach.
Going to be at Abaco Beach Resort, Boat Harbor.
Okay. Well, keep an eye out for the Mark 6. I'll be running out of Green Turtle starting next Wednesday.
Well, you know what? If you like to come by, I'm sure I could probably find you a drink of Papa's Pilar.
Don't worry about that. Somebody lined me up with about a case here and there, so I think we'll be pretty good on our own. But thank you.
That's pretty good. That's good stuff. You can just instead of the freshwater washdown, George, I just recommend you put those cases right into there. And,
you can put that. You could run that in your boat.
Skip the middleman. Okay. Just a thought. I mean, I'm just throwing stuff out there to see what sticks.
Anyone thirsty?
But anyway, you guys, always nice to talk to you both. Love you, and once again, you guys have a great weekend. And never a spectator, bro.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks. Hey, I'm a little jealous. You guys are both going to be over there in March without me. So,
well, you got to be doing a podcast from over
John,
there.
You know what, Dennis? We get Tropic Star on the horizon, brother.
Yeah,
so
that is true.
Everybody else in the world is going to be jealous.
That is true. That is true.
All right. You guys have a great weekend. Congratulations once again, Karlene.
Thank you.
Okay.
See you guys. Bye. 2 for 2 here.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we're on the roll.
So for those of you listening and watching, Mike Myatt, our good friend from Papa's Pilar Rum, right? Mike's always there.
He's a great
to
dude.
spread
He's
the
a
love.
Great guy.
I got a funny Mike story, not a funny one, but one that I told Mike. I said, "Man, this story, because you're such a lovable guy." I said, "This story just has me hating you." We were talking a while, and he was talking about how he used to fish Hollow River Inlet. That's my hometown inlet. And how he caught this huge mutton snapper in the inlet itself, and I forgot the weight, but I want to say it was well over 15 pounds, I thought. Mm-hmm. And he was telling me how he did it right in Hollow River Inlet to nail a mutton that size. And when he told me that, I said, "Man," I hated that guy ever since.
Yeah,
wow. That big mutton out of the inlet. That's amazing.
Okay.
Tell that story here when we.
I think he did because we brought that up.
Correct.
Because to catch a mutton. And I wish I could remember the weight, but to catch a mutton of that size like he did inside Hollow River Inlet is remarkable. Mm-hmm. You could get a mutton that size on the reef, and it's remarkable. But to do that inside Hollow River Inlet was amazing. Yeah, he had all the stars lined up that day.
Yeah, listen, Mike's a great dude. He brings a wealth of knowledge and just a wealth of experience to the table, and I have some great conversations with him. When a lot of times he'll just call for like one little work thing, and it turns out to be this hour-long great conversation, and I get a lot out of that from him. And I know I got to be drinking faster. I'm sorry, I'm doing too much talking, more drinky, less talky. But yeah, I mean, so, and I appreciate everything that Papa's Pilar, brings to the table. I wanted to talk to you today. Mm-hmm. One of the things I wanted to bring up while I have you here is we just recently had. Right, the CCA event, right, where we talked about conservation and obviously and all the different great things that Broward CCA.
Okay, perfect. You're going to get a good conversation for me on that, but go ahead.
Yeah,
and set it up.
Yes, and some of the things that Mike's been doing has been good, and about people getting involved. And one of the things that he wanted to preach was that CCA is a grassroots organization and they need people. And it doesn't happen without people. Mm-hmm. One of the things I'd like to see is them getting a little bit more involved, which they have voiced their support in the past about some of the sharking issues that we face, and hopefully we can make up some ground there. I know the Bill Fish Foundation, Alan, is recently beginning heavily involved in trying to push forth with some of the efforts there, but. Take me through your thoughts on some of the avenues to take here with conservation.
Okay, I'll start with the CCA, and I serve as their offshore fishing spokesperson. Mm-hmm. So I've always been a member and tied in heavily. And I'm not going to say I have a disagreement with them. I just have a gripe with them. And I've been preaching this for a while now. Is you look at their largest event turnout. Their annual event is at Manatee County, Bradenton. Mm-hmm. They put 900 or 1,000 people at their banquet. You look at what we turn out in Lauderdale. We're lucky if we could get 300. I don't know if we did this past one. I even missed it.
We did not.
Right. You look at Day County, worse.
Mhm.
You look at Palm Beach, it's probably a little bit better than what we do in Broward and Miami. But if Bradenton could put 900 to 1,000 people in, Broward County should easily crack 1,000. Dade County should do the same. Palm Beach should put 1,500 at least
Mhm.
in theirs. And I told CCA, and I preached till I'm as blue as this marlin that you painted here, is their marketing is terrible on our side.
Mhm.
When people hear CCA, they automatically think redfish, snook, trout.
Mhm.
Okay? They're so strong on the west coast of Florida because that's your primary fisheries there. Because it's so far to get to deep water, most people inshore fish, so they're in tune to all that. You come to our side, you draw a line from, say, Jupiter. You could extend it even north if you want, but Jupiter down through the Florida Keys. Primarily, we are reef and offshore anglers here. We got a lot of inshore,
Mhm.
but the reef and offshore anglers overwhelm any other type of angling activity in salt water.
Right.
So they're missing their
Until
market.
you get down the homestead.
Well, in the Keys too, the majority that they're fishing blackfins, they're grouper, snapper, they're mahi.
Right.
So the problem being is when you ask somebody, and I ask a lot of people, why don't you member CCA? Just see what they say in here. I don't redfish. I don't trout. I run the Bahamas. I do this and it. And where the CCA, at least 50%, it used to be 60, but at least 50% of their battles or concerns are things that affect reef anglers. They were part of the deal to try to stop or protect some of these reef closures, the marine protected areas. And they were involved to a certain level in that fight to keep the long lines back out of our area here. But what their marketing is terrible because they don't promote and tell the offshore reef person what they're doing for them.
Mhm.
And therefore they have these terrible, terrible numbers. It's like they gave up on this area. They need to refocus, jump on the shark deal, like you said, get more aggressive on those, and tell the people in our area what they're doing for the reef and the offshore anglers. The inshore anglers know what they're doing.
Mhm.
And because they've missed this market badly for a number of years because it's that marketing.
I think they're aware of that.
But they need to be doing something about it.
They're. I'm friends with Mike Lamberts, right?
Oh, and Mike does a wonderful job.
Mike
See,
does
that's
a
why I
great
feel
job.
sorry for him. He's such a effective person at the helm, but he's limited in what they give him to work with, and he can only take this so far.
So he came by the bar here the night or the afternoon before the banquet in Broward, which was last week, right? Or maybe the week. It was last week. And, he was talking to me and he was like, we got to get more people involved. And I think he was talking about, and he's like, man, people need to get that this is a grassroots organization and they're
And I'll play devil's advocate. Grassroots for what? If you're an offshore reef guy. What's going to tell me I need to spend my money and get CC and Broward?
He brought some things to the table, some of the things that they've invested with artificial reefs, and they dropped about 1 million pounds of concrete in the ocean this past year, right off the coast here. How they're getting involved in their oyster programs and their oyster testing programs.
Where's the marketing? Where's the hype?
Right. So I hear you, but I think that they're looking on improving that. I mean, when that with Lily down in Miami, same thing. I mean, I went and I sat with the board. I was the artist for that one too, but I sat with the board. I'm also a conservationist, so I get involved. And I want people to understand that. Like when I get involved with these organizations doing artwork, I don't just say, yeah, here, use this. Thanks. Tell everyone I was involved. I actually get involved. I go to the meetings. I sit with them. I talk to them, and sometimes we bounce ideas off each other. I'm new to that part of it with the CCA though, but I'm trying. Right. Mike, I can tell you, is trying very hard as well. He gave a very good talk at this year's banquet, saying that, and I hear what you're saying, but let me finish this thought, saying that the CCA is nothing without the people that get involved for each chapter, right? Because nothing is going to happen in your chapter. Like the CCA is not just going to jump in and say, okay, here's what we did for your chapter. They want community involvement, which I agree with. There should be community involvement. But with bringing ideas to the table is another thing that they're open to from the community rather than just fielding complaints, right? So they're looking for people to get involved and saying, well, what do you think should be done in your local area? And he's asking for help and support from that realm as well, because he goes, if we come up with good plans and good ideas, collectively speaking, CCA will fund it. And the CCA will do it. And it's already been confirmed. You can look at the reef programs that they recently did. And CCA had no problem funding that, going, yes, we'll do that, no problem. And some of the things with the oyster programs are being funded by the CCA, and we'll do that. I agree with you that more needs to be done for the support of the offshore community. I am pretty sure that you're probably in favor of the new mahi limits, right? CCA was heavily involved in making that happen. So legislatively speaking, they got involved. So that is one way I think the CCA did help on the offshore level.
I agree with everything you said, and they're there. That's the point I'm making through all this. They're at least 50% of what battles or what they do right now relates to the reef and offshore. Right? So you talked about the reef deployment. You talk about the mahi regs. I mean, they're already there. It's not like, okay, well, let's take some opinions on what we need to be doing better. They're here already. They're doing 50% of their work is related to reef and offshore anglers. What my point is they need to be doing promotional videos. They need to be hammering this market and saying, look, this last year we deployed X amount of pounds of rubble out here. We've built these reef systems here. We took part in a mahi
so
regulation.
More of an outbound approach.
They already have the stuff. They just don't let people know what they're doing. That's that they're there. And if there's no need to have more, talks. I mean, you could have them, but they already have it. But they just fail to even address the people down in South Florida. Do a video. Do something. Get on Paul Castranova's radio show, whatever. Get the word out, because if you're a reef or offshore angler, you're not going to spend 25 or whatever it is, $35 to become a member if you only think to do trout, redfish, and all. But they do the stuff that we do.
So getting the word out more.
That's the key.
Okay.
Oh, they do everything else. They're doing fine.
Right.
But they're marketing,
because they are doing a lot of work. But you're right. Maybe people just don't
it's
see
sort
it
of like to let this area to die. Tell these people what you're doing,
right,
and what you've done.
Right.
You're doing a good job.
I'm going to bring that up to Mike.
Oh yeah, you can bring it up to Mike too. But I'm very good friends with Brian, who heads the CCA of Florida. Yeah. And I tell him this too. And I'll be fishing. Well, actually, a good buddy of his, who's a very good longtime friend of mine, will be running the camera boat for us when we do our TV shoot at Green Turtle. And he's very influential. He runs the Bradenton, Manatee County chapter. So I'll be working on him too. I've been a friend with him for about 40 years now.
Okay.
But no, it's not Mike's fault. Mike is a wonderful person.
No, I'm not saying it's his fault.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
But they need to give him items to work with.
Okay. No, that's fair enough. I agree. And yeah, who knows?
Yeah,
I might be able to help in that realm with that too as well. So
because we should easily dwarf those other banquets from Broward, Palm Beach, and Dade.
Yep, I agree.
And the Keys.
Yeah, I agree. It was interesting too. Bouncer made a comment on when he was on the show that sharks were the reason that he retired.
And that's an overwhelming problem we have just about everywhere. It's you talk about fisheries conservation, and you're trying to get muttons or groupers the right size limit, and how many of those get eaten up before you actually get one keeper? And it's wherever you go, the sharks have become overwhelming.
Yeah,
we've protected them so much, and they're an apex predator. The only person or thing above them to cause them harm would be us.
Right. Yeah. No, it's true.
And I'm not talking about the great pelagics. I'm not talking about the duskies or the makos or the hammerheads. I'm talking about the bulls and the lemons, the ones that are really causing all these issues.
Yeah, the sandbars.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, we try to bring it up every episode.
Yep.
Some people have a very aggressive approach solution model in their heads about it, and I just want to make it clear we're not saying that let's annihilate all sharks on the planet. No one I think wants that.
No, it's just a limited re-entry somehow, and then stop it after whatever that designated time is, a half a year or 8 months, and then evaluate it and
Mhm.
see how it is, and then make adjustments from that point.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about just going out there and just wiping every single one of those fish out. It's just trying to reduce the levels to where they're not overbearing and dependent, where they hear the boat show up at certain fishing spots and they know free food, and then boom, they come to that, and they're programmed.
It's incredible how intelligent,
smart.
how stupid and smart they are at the
Yeah.
same time. It's a very weird animal.
Yep.
When it comes to that, sometimes you just think, oh man, you're dumb as a rock, but but their learned behaviors are something
Sure.
to be acknowledged, for sure. So I want to check in with Karlene. How you doing over there
Good.
behind the bar? Are you having a party?
I'm just listening and learning.
Yeah.
Always having a party.
Well, I just want to make sure that this is her. She's hasn't been able to have anything to drink for about 9 months. I just want to make sure that she's doing okay back there.
Doing good.
Yeah, pretty good. So, Discovery Channel.
Yes,
How's it going?
wonderfully well.
Yeah, and what year? This is the 22nd.
For TV, we're now filming for year 23.
23 now. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And where are you in the film stage right now?
We start our first episode for 2023 next week in the Bahamas,
Next week.
and then we stay busy.
So that's the beginning of the
yeah,
season.
of our season.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
And then we'll
That's
stay
a good way to kick it off.
always. Yeah.
Yeah.
We get the weather, and we could get over there. I think it'll be fantastic, and then we should have our 13th and final episode done for 2023 by November. That's usually the time frame that we work with the traveling and
Okay.
scheduling, and so we're about ready to get right into it again.
So you've known Bouncer Smith
Forever.
for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time, right? You guys have.
Well, like I say, we don't even want to think of how long we know each other because it makes us both seem very old, although he's older than me.
Do you realize that he tells me in the middle of the episode, oh, it's my 74th birthday
I
today.
can't believe that.
I'm like, are you kidding?
I cannot believe
He
that.
dropped that right on my head in the middle of an episode. I'm like, what? And I felt like completely like I should have had a cake or something for you or done something.
It's amazing. It's hard, because you just it's funny because we all look at ourselves in the mirror every day, and after a while, nothing changes,
Yeah.
But 74 with bouncers is wow, it's amazing. And when I first had come to work with Saltwater Sports was 1983,
Right.
and they wanted a tarpon cover shot out of Miami. So I called Bouncer, and I want to say we put him on the cover. I came in at 83. I don't know whether he was on the cover in either 85 or 86, but one of those early years, he was on the cover, a Saltwater Sportsman, with his Dusky back then, and with Bill McDonald, who was a good angler, a customer of his, Bill McDonald's girlfriend. See, I could remember that far back. That's proof I don't have
Right.
Alzheimer's or anything like that. I could remember this stuff. And we put him on the cover. And I save every Saltwater Sportsman magazine that I've written for since 1983 on. So I have all these copies. And every now and then I'll look through them and I'll see that cover, a Bouncer.
Yeah.
And there he is with like dark hair. He looks like this young
Mm-hmm.
guy catching it. It's amazing how the time flies.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you.
Yep.
You got to have some good bouncer stories.
Oh, I'll tell you
Give
one.
me a good one.
I'll
Give
give
me
you
a good
I'll
one.
give you a real good one here. And even though Bouncer probably he gets a little hot when he hears this because it wasn't good for him at the time, turned out to be good for him. Is my cousin calls me up. And my cousin was fishing on a
Is he
Saturday.
Italian or is he?
Hey,
Irish?
he actually Italian.
There you
He's
go.
the Italian
look at
side
that.
over there,
Ding,
right?
ding, ding. Like 1 point for you, right?
So he calls me up. He got back at the boat ramp at Haulover. He goes, George, you're never going to believe who I see handcuffed in the back of a police car. And I'm thinking, well, that could be anybody in Dade County.
Right.
And I said, you got to give me more to go by. Oh, my God, you know him very well. They have his boat tied up there at Haulover Marina. He's handcuffed. He's in the back, and there's 2 or 3 police cars here. And I'm thinking, I said, who? He goes, Bouncer Smith. I says, there's no
Come on.
way. They said, I'm
Bouncer?
telling you, Bouncer is handcuffed. The police have in the back of the car. And he goes, maybe he was running drugs. I said, no. I said, a bouncer I
Yeah,
know,
no
no way in
No
the
way.
world. And I said, maybe he got in a fist fight with somebody. He goes, all I know, he's handcuffed and they're taking him away. And I'm saying, whoa, what the hell did he do?
He got kicked out of the bar for singing karaoke and
Well,
Silent Night at the local
No,
pub.
if I didn't kick him out that night, he was good for the rest of the karaoke career.
You're not allowed to sing Christmas songs in the summer in Miami.
What had happened, it was all on the news. He would go to net live pilchards out when they had Haulover Pier before the hurricane knocked it down, Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
And he would go out there while it was still dark and net pilchards. Well, apparently, a drunk was just shouting or whatever at the end of the pier and jumps overboard while Bouncer was netting pilchards. And people are screaming, help him, he's going to drown, he's going to drown. So Bouncer, they go over and they pick this drunk out of the water.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he cast netted him.
No. He probably wishes he
Started making a
did.
pancake.
So he puts him in a boat.
Forget the drunk guy.
And he drops him on the beach or he puts him somewhere. And then Bouncer goes back to doing what he's doing. Well, the drunk goes back on the pier, goes all the way to the end, and jumps off again. And everybody's screaming, rescue him. I'm not picking him up. He's drunk. I just picked him up, put him there, and Bouncer didn't pick him up. So they called the police. So police comes down to the pier and orders him to pick this guy out of the water.
Yeah.
So Bouncer, the story gets a little fuzzy from here with my memory, but he picked the person up and brought him to this shore, and the police said, go to the Haulover boat ramp.
Mm-hmm.
And then the police came and they took him. And it was all in the news about how Bouncer was letting this guy drown because he wanted to catch bait, and the bait was only be there at a certain time, so they made him seem like this evil guy. And this was all on the news. This dominated the news. And could you imagine the fishing community? You got a guy like Bouncer. I mean, he's cleaner than a priest.
Sure. Yeah.
And he's getting beat up like this, and we're saying, oh, and then part of you thinks, I said, the guy's a hardcore fisherman. Maybe he knew, well, let me get 5 more minutes to get these baits, then I'll get that guy. It makes you think a little bit about it. But then he had an attorney, and he proved himself right in the whole deal.
Sure.
The guy was a drunk and just came off again, and he beat the whole deal. But that was an amazing call that I got. And I'm turning into Bouncer Smith handcuffed in the back of a police car. That just doesn't correlate.
That's crazy. Like that guy just walked right back into the water. I don't blame him.
And run back in and jumps. It was a drunk.
Yeah, what are you going to do? You're going to keep...
Bouncer got him out of there once.
Vicious, like, yeah, that's it. I saved you once. I'm not
Sure.
going to save you again.
Yeah. So that was an interesting Bouncer story that goes along with the Chicago deal.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of them.
All right.
There's a bunch of them.
Well, when Bouncer comes in...
Yeah, because you got to
right.
let him sit here and defend himself a little bit.
So when
But
Bouncer
they're all
comes
good.
in
He was
next time...
never really at fault of any of it.
Right.
He was just what they call a victim of circumstances.
He actually did the good deed.
He did a good deed.
You can only bring
But
a
I got
horse
to
to
tell
water.
you, that dominated the news cycle when that happened. It
When
was
was that?
everywhere. I can't remember the year. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be guessing the year.
All right.
Maybe early 90s, if that.
Yeah.
But
wow, look at that. Well, learn something new
Yep.
every day. Well, when Bouncer comes in, next time we bring him in,
Yep.
we'll have you here. And
Okay.
I know Mike said he wanted to come in.
Absolutely.
And so we'll get the 4 of us at the table.
You better make it a 4-hour podcast.
Yeah, probably. Probably will have to be. I tell you, last time I tried to end the show with Bouncer, he straight up told me, he goes, "Are you trying to end this show on me?"
Yeah.
It's like, Bouncer, we've been going for like over an hour. And he goes, "Oh, it feels like it's been 5 minutes. You try to close the show on me. I got all day." I'm like, "Well, I got to go. My daughter's got a basketball game." Yeah, so it was nice.
Yep.
It was great having you in today.
Hey, it's
as well.
enjoyable. It's been a while, and
it's
and
nice
come
to have you back.
And,
Well,
and
this
I,
is
and
your
I like
first
the new
time.
setup.
Yeah.
I like it.
Your first time on this side of the wall.
It is.
And,
Very
you know,
nice.
And this, we're still like, we've had this space since November, so we're still kind of getting used to it ourselves a little bit, which is kind of cool. But, we're trying to figure out our wall system because the second we put art up on the walls and it sells, and it's just like, it's tough keeping art up on the wall. So we're figuring out.
Well, that's a tough problem to have.
Yeah, but we're trying to figure out a system so it always looks full. So, but we like it. We got our bar. That's our favorite part of it.
I mean, that was a lot of effort that
Yeah.
you put into that.
Yeah. Well, no, the guy that was in here before us, we walked right into this.
Oh, so this bar was there?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 100%. That's why.
So what was here before?
It was another art gallery, but I don't know. They, it didn't happen. They closed their doors, and this became available to us. And
Nice.
I said I got to have it. gotta have it, right? Sometimes you see something, you gotta have it. I was like, I gotta have that bar. I gotta have that bar. So yeah, so we finally, it's like one of those bucket list things for me.
Yeah.
Where it's just like,
it's his
I'm not
own
a
personal
bartender.
man cave. Don't let him
Yeah,
fool
it
you.
is. It is.
Liz doesn't want him in the house anymore.
I
with
lock
half
the
stuff.
doors and I just hang out here, right?
That's a good place to hang out, I can see.
Yeah, so it's like, bucket list.
Sure.
I'm not a bartender, and I have my quasi bar, right? And you don't like, I don't have a liquor license, but I can share it as much as I'd like to share it. And when customers come in, they say, "Hey, can we sample the rum?" I say yes every time. And Mike encourages me to do so. It's we're happy about that. So
you got that casino philosophy.
absolutely,
You want to lose them up
100%.
a little bit with the Pops Pilar, and they'll start pulling that cash out and picking up all those paintings. You know?
Mike said he's going to give me the little bottles to give to the customers that buy the big paintings. So he said, don't give away the big bottles. Give them the little bottles. So,
Yep.
Yeah. So no, we're happy. It's cozy, right? And it's definitely a home. So it was cool. We had a film crew here come and do some little TV show documentary about us.
Did you?
Today. So,
Awesome.
it was kind of nice. It's getting to show the place off.
Well, I got to hand it to you, like I've told you this before. Sound like a broken record. You do amazing, realistic looking work, and that's what made me gravitate to you early on. And just amazing stuff. Just keep that freshness and keep that really good look going. It's working wonders for you.
I appreciate that, George. Yeah, we try to keep it realistic but give a little artistic flair to it at the same time. So we try to balance both situations there. So we got Liz's work hanging here too. So we're excited about that.
Yep.
She's got a place to hang her beautiful work too. So yeah, cool. You want to have any parting words of connection here for your fans that are watching?
Well, this is when you come in there with your Easter sermon.
The church announcements, they like to say. Do we have any announcements to make? I don't think we have any announcements. Well, we were at the Pompano Beach Seafood Festival. We were saying that for a while, but that's come and gone. We had a great event there. We got our Jimmy Johnson tournament coming up in Atlantic City. So we will be up in Atlantic City in July. Coming up, and for May we were going to go down for the Island Marauder Backcountry Tournament, but we're just doing all the art and awards trophies and stuff for that.
Okay.
So we're just designing that tournament. But every year I usually fish it, but we're not going to do it this year. Too heavy of a schedule load this year to make it down for that trip. But other than that, we're just planning for a very heavy project load right now and trying to get things out the door. So I'm trying to clear up my schedule to work on some big projects coming up. So
You should be doing. And again, I just want to thank you for the invitation and everybody here for doing such a good job. And good to see you back in the saddle.
Thank you, George. You too.
So I really do feel like things are back to normal now, right? So you're not allowed to go anywhere anymore.
Stay right there.
Right? Just stay right there. Right? Be there all week. Sitting behind the bar. So all right, cool. I'd like to remind everyone that if you are in the market for a new truck or Jeep, to give our friends at Joey Cardi Chrysler Dodge Jeep a call, and say Connected by Water sent you, and they'll give you a free Jeep. No, I'm just kidding. They will give you a good deal if you tell them that we sent you. If you are thirsty, like George and I were before we started the show, now I think we're getting a little fuller. Go and wrestle up yourself a bottle of Papa's Pilar rum. And they remind you never to be a spectator, and they want to make sure that you are sharing with them, celebrating the Hemingway lifestyle and the Hemingway way, right? And they want to make sure that you live every day making sure that Papa will be proud, right?
100%.
We also want to give a shout out to our good friends over at Papa's Raw Bar, right? Who want you to share something off of the Connected by Water inspired sushi menu. All right. So please go over and check out the best sushi
going
in
back
town.
did you have a certain roll named after you or something like that?
Oh, the whole menu is the Connected by Water sushi menu. Yeah. So we have the Takizi roll, which is Harris's, my business partner's boat, right? And then we got our good friends OCD, the White family. They have the OCD roll. We have the Surreal roll, which is Joey Cardi, our headline sponsor. They have their own roll, and
the
Jumbo-licious roll, and Paul's got a dish over there, and
now because they didn't make the meeting, they're going to take that dish off.
They might
as a penalty, like a month off the menu.
Yeah, they might
put them in the
suspension
time out.
Yeah, in isolation with it. Yeah, put him in the hole. So we'd like to thank Paul Casanova for entertaining us on the radio all these years.
For not showing up so we could roast him. Is that what it is?
It's all good. It's all good. We'll get him back. We'll see if he can come back and redeem himself for we'll see what he's got up his sleeve. So cool. Are we good? We good?
We're
Cheers.
good.
Awesome. Thank you.
George
Cheers.
Poveromo, thank you very much, sir.
Always an honor to be here.
You're a gentleman and
Thank
a
you.
scholar and a fine friend. I appreciate you greatly.
Thank you.
Your ego is not your amigo. Always do your best, and at the end of the day, remember to let God do the rest, and do not ever forget that no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, we are all connected by water.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.